This is the inside of the Mobilvetta K-Yacht 79 Tekno Line. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on just by touching anywhere. We can then turn the lights on just here, and then they can all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. If they are the blue LEDs or this light strip, these can actually be turned on and off without the 12 volt system being turned on. And we have the switch here for the blue LEDs, and then down here we have the switch for the light bar. This can be dimmed by holding the button in. Next we have awning light on and off. Water pump on and off. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained. In conjunction with the water pump being on, to actually flush the toilet, you also do need to make sure that this auxiliary button is also on. Above we then have condition of vehicle battery and condition of leisure battery. How much water's in the fresh tank and how much water's in the waste tank. If I touch any of these, they will then bring up everything all in one go, and we can also put alarms on if we want. So now if the vehicle battery or the leisure battery are low, an alarm will sound to let you know, and when the freshwater tank is nearly empty, it will let you know, and if the waste tank is nearly full, it will let you know. Ignore this bottom one here, that is if an additional tank was added. Along the top here we then have the date, and just tap it to alter it. And then we have the time. We can also set a wake up alarm down here as well if we want to. Internal temperature and the outside temperature. This one here is just letting us know that we're hooked up to main supply. If we were not, we would not get the green illumination just there. And then lastly we just have the settings menu just there, so we have the brightness of the screen, how quickly before it times out when you're not touching it, and how dark the screen goes when it does time out. Button beeps on and off up here, and we do not need to worry about the top one just there because we do not have any Bluetooth accessories added on this particular model. Beside the main control panel we then have the Truma control panel for the heating and hot water. So at the moment it's displaying the time and letting us know that we have main supply connected with the little picture of the 2-pin plug just there. If I now press the button, we have a series of icons, and as I begin to rotate the button they will start to flash. So if we start with the first icon just here, this one is for the heating. So if I now click on it, heating is off. All I now do is just rotate to pick whatever temperature I would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it will go right the way up to 30 degrees. So once you've decided, just click to store it in, and you'll now see a little flames appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, this flame will begin to flash, and it will continue to flash until it achieves the temperature you have asked. If I now move across to the next icon, this one here is for your hot water, and again if I now click, hot water is off. If I rotate, I can heat the hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. If I rotate again, we can heat the hot water in hot mode, and this will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost is very handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water extremely quickly. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use the extra power. And again, the icon will continue to flash until it's achieved the temperature you've asked. You'll see that the heating hasn't come on because I've set it at 30 degrees and it is actually currently 35 degrees inside the motorhome. If we now move to the next icon, this one here is power source selection. So to heat the hot water at the moment, I am using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, I can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, which is very handy if we're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. If we have both power sources available to us, we can run in dual fuel, so we can run on a mixture of gas and mains electricity at 2 kilowatts, or a mixture of gas and mains electricity at 1 kilowatt. Dual fuel is very handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly, and it will only consume gas as it's required. And then lastly, if we have no main supply connected, we can solely run on the gas. Next we have the circulation fan for the heating system. So we can either run the fan in eco mode or high. And if I now turn off both hot water and heating and now return to it, we can also use it to vent the motorhome, and it has a fan speed of 1 to 10. If I now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So if I now click on it, we can set a start time and then an end time. And then once we've done this, we can then just say what we would like on within that time period. Lastly, timer on or off. If I now activate the timer icon will come up there, and now within that time period those settings would apply. If I now return back into it, I can now turn the timer back off, and when we go back in we can then alter it again. Next we just have the clock set, and then lastly we have the settings menu, and within this we have offset just for the thermostat, which is just here. So if you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. The language. Index, more for the technicians in the workshop, it just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. So from time to time, these units can throw up error codes. They will usually be something relatively basic. So if you're trying to run either heating or hot water on main supply and you don't have mains connected, it will throw up an error code to let you know. Same would happen if you're trying to run it on gas and you have no gas, etc. An error code will appear when my finger is here as a warning triangle. If you click on it, you will then get a series of numbers and letters. If you then look in the manual or you Google it, it will then tell you what the problem is. If the error code is basic and it's an easy fix, once you've rectified it, usually the error code will automatically disappear. If this does not happen straight away, just go back to the warning triangle and double click on it, and then it will sometimes say no error and disappear. If it still does not go out, I always suggest that if you do have anything running along the top here, that you turn it all off, because it can reassess a lot faster when it's not trying to do lots of things at once. If this still does not work, I then always suggest the good old-fashioned turn it off, turn it back on again, and just hold this button in until it says off. If when you turn it back on you still have an error code, I always then lastly suggest just doing the factory reset, because sometimes that's all these control panels require. if we now come down to the dinette area, you'll see down here that we have the switch for the underfloor heating. This will only work when you are connected to mains electricity. And then beneath that we have the solar panel regulator. We do not need to do anything with this, it will just smart charge the batteries as it's required. To turn the L-shaped dinette into 2 travel seats, we firstly just need to remove the cushions. And then if I just poke my head underneath here, you'll see that we have levers just underneath, as you can see just there, and if you pull them you can then drop this section. And then as you can see, once it's dropped, you then have both travel seats. If I just remove this cushion as well, you'll see that we can gain access to the storage locker, which you can also get to from the outside. The table can be moved all around by placing your foot on the black button just there and then just sliding it about. It will also rotate as well. We have storage in the floor just here and here, and then underneath this section just here we have the water pump just here. Then we have the drain tap for the grey water, so anything that goes down your plug holes goes into the holding tank and then is drained off at this section just here. We then have the 2 drain taps for the freshwater tank. So this top one here will drain some of the water out of the freshwater tank but leave a small amount left in for travel, and then this one here will completely drain the freshwater tank down. TV bracket just here, so just pull this lever just here and then it will then slide out, attach the TV to the bracket, and then it all plugs in just here. Oven and grill just here. To light it, just push in, twist, and then press the igniter. We also have a light in here as well. Beneath that is the Thetford fridge freezer, on and off just here. This is an automatic fridge freezer, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to mains electricity, it's put us onto mains with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. If I now pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we start the engine of the motorhome, it will then automatically go over to 12-volt maintain to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. As you can see, the display does disappear after a few seconds. To bring it back up, just tap the on-off button and it will re-illuminate. So if I tap just here, I can take it out of auto and manually put it onto main supply, or manually put it onto 12-volt maintain. We're going to get an error code at the minute because the engine's not running. And I can manually put it onto gas. But to be fair, automatic is the easiest option to have it on. Temperature control just here. And then we have the unit's heated jacket on and off just here. This needs to be on, especially in the warmer months, because it will then stop the build-up of condensation behind the unit, which would then run down and form a puddle beneath it. In the winter months, you do not necessarily need this on, so you can turn it off. And to turn the unit completely back off again, just hold the button in. Freezer compartment at the top, and then the fridge beneath. Sink just here, and then we have the bin. Main socket, light switches, and then we also have 2 USB charge points as well. In the overhead locker just here we have the television aerial. So to raise the TV aerial, just undo the collar just here, and then you can then raise the mast up. Twist it around to get it into the position that you require, and then lock it into place. Do make sure that the mast is down for travel. Extractor fan just here, on and off just here. And then we have the induction hob just here. And then the 2 gas rings. Storage in here, but we also have the gas isolation taps for the motorhome. They're all in the on position, and quite frankly they can all stay like that. I always say if you smell gas in the van, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. But we have hob, heating and hot water, barbecue point, fridge, and the cooker. Basin and the shower cubicle. Do make sure that the shower screens are secure for travel. Thetford toilet just here. So to open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across and then push the blue button to flush, and then close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody has left it open. Level indicator just here, so this will illuminate when you need to empty the cassette. Again, we have more storage in the floor just there. And these sections on both sides will also lift up as well. Wardrobes at the back, and again we have another TV bracket just here, main socket, 12 volt aerial fly lead and satellite points just here, and we also have the digital amplifier for the television aerial just here. So we just need to make sure that it is turned on the side just here, and then control the boost just here. Any of these touch lights just here will need to be touched again when they've been turned off on the control panel. And then tucked underneath here again we have two USB charge points, main socket, and then we have the blue LED lights on and off, and then the silver switch also turns the top lighting off just here. To use the front drop down bed, we need to make sure that the seats are swiveled back round, and these seats swivel round on the orange levers just here. Once they're both swiveled round, we then need to pull the levers just here and then drop them out of the way. Once they're both dropped out of the way, just press and release the clip just here, and then just pull down, and the bed will then drop into position, and then just attach the ladder onto here. And then once you put it back up, do make sure that you secure it as well, especially for travel. To fully turn the 12 volt off, just press the button just there, and then just make sure that the blue LEDs are off and the light bar is off.